So the biggest reason we all hear is obviously it's a digital marketing summit, and with such a small kind of table I can go a bit more kind of in deep. And I can talk about SEO for hours and hours because it's just my passion. So if I go too nerd or too technical, just let me know. But I'll try to give you what I've learned in my experience. So we all hear that because we need relevant traffic to our websites, which is sustainable, scalable, and potentially free. I put asterisk on free. I'll let you know why. And one of the ways to get that traffic is through SEO. Obviously, all the digital marketing channels, or all the channels within marketing, I would say SEO is one of the channels where the traffic is so sustainable. The analogy I use always for SEO is that it's like a plane. You put a lot of energy when the plane's going up. You have to do the basics right. It feels a bit painful, but once it's in the air, once you have all the basics done, everything done, it flies. You don't have to kind of spend a lot of money on it. It's a maintenance. It's not that you just forget about SEO. But it's more of a maintenance once it's in air that, okay, this needs to be done because you've done your basics right and things like that, then it's less maintenance. That's why it's potentially free at that time. So the asterisk is not actually free because it costs a lot of money, time, energy, and in this competition, nothing is free. So even for Google, if like when I was in financial industry, keywords like car insurance, it gets very, very competitive. So it's not easy to just have some basic SEO done in your suite. So one click is really, really important to you. And if you compare that cost to PPC, in some days it's like $60 a click. We just go and get a code, but how much they pay to Google is enormous. So one of the ways to get that is through SEO. But there's one big problem with SEO, and this is not just with me, it's with the whole industry. That all SEOs are highly dependent upon search engines. It's literally, if they change something today, they change it. You're being more reactive to what's happening in search engines than actually proactive. I wish I knew what's coming up tomorrow. Obviously, I get some hints, right? There's HTTPS coming. There's this update gonna come. Have your mobile speed ready? Have your we all know best practice. The way I think about SEO is that nothing has changed. It's more of an implementation. So just imagine, we always knew that we don't have to jump any red lights, right? So we all do the right thing. But the day there's a camera installed, then you get caught, and there's more in news that, okay, jumping light is bad. So it's the same with SEO. If I look at 10 years back when I started SEO, the quality guidelines were exactly the same. So there's only a few changes happening to quality guidelines from Google. So what has changed with time is that Google has become more strict, more smart of actually understanding what they were saying. Or if they're saying do this thing, and now they're saying you're not the right thing. This is a penalty. This is another update. This is another update. But if you're doing everything right, your basics are right, you're pretty much safe. You wait for those updates to happen. So you don't have to be scared of any of the Google updates if you're an SEO industry. I'm not sure how much such a small kind of thing I can ask. How much SEO experience do you guys have?
I'll go first. I have, it's all self-taught, but trying being one digital person in a company that's owned, like the digital person, they haven't outsourced it. I've tried my best to learn Google Search Console, to try and update that and look at the rankings and read as much as possible, but like limited knowledge.
We've got 3 websites and they all have SEO in the back end. We have probably put a lot of content on there without doing the SEO, which is a bit of a mistake, so we do need to focus on actually retrospectively going back and SEO tagging almost everything that we put in from a certain point in time. But as we put content on there, obviously we are doing it as we go. So we obviously do realise the importance of that SEO, and that's why we do need to go back and retrospectively categorise the stuff that's in there.
think you have to start somewhere, right? And
Yeah.
even in big companies, you don't realize that when I started BuzzDirect, they were pushing a lot of content. There's like 3-4 articles going live in a week. And when you ask who's doing SEO, what keywords being targeted, what's the target market, and they had no answers. So even big companies, they just do the same thing. They just push some content and go retro because you have to have some traffic, you have to have something to work with, right? Otherwise, we're just talking theory. There's nothing practical. Once you have some kind of traffic coming to the site, then you start looking at this is the article which might help with the sales. This is the article which might get some traffic, and you try to improve it. So I think that's the best way. Even with your example, I think that's the way. You start from somewhere and then you go there. Thank you. How about you?
I'm with Lisa, so.
Okay. Let's go.
Sorry?
Same situation.
Oh, okay. I don't have much experience.
Okay.
I just have some business and I do Facebook and Instagram marketing and that's it. I'm new in this.
Okay, so just a disclaimer, today's session, my presentations, I've tried to keep it more technical. I didn't know about the audience much. So I'll try to skip a few slides which are like really going to go with this, but I'll go with the basics and kind of do what will make more sense to you guys to actually action something out of it. Because I had the same presentation at SMX a couple of months ago, SMX Sydney. I made a few changes to this and these guys approached me and I said, okay, I'll come and present, but it's pretty high level. The audience there was more SEO and PPC who are working in the industry for a long time. But I'll try to keep it simple. I'll give examples which will make more sense. So the whole idea for me coming here and probably present today would be you make sure that you understand how algorithms work because they're going to go a long way. That's the basics. And if you get that, everything will make sense. And if you hire somebody in-house who looks after SEO, they know what they're talking about. So, and for save you guys, and just to pick up what's the right option for you. So we as SEO are highly dependent on search engines. And these algorithms change every few hours. Right? There's 6 hours, 4 hours, and Google sometimes says a couple of hours. It doesn't have to be like a big change. It could be a small change, but it does happen. Who knows what they're testing today? When you say my rankings have dropped from 1 to 2, 2 to 4, there might be tests happening. What happens when your ranking drops to 4? Do people still click on your result? If they still click on your result, we might be getting better CDRs even at position 4. They might put you in position 3, and they could be doing the same thing. And you might even see in search engines there are like a couple of results coming from the same website. Say you have 2 websites. If you have the same content or if you have something similar, it might say your first website, second website, third website coming on different positions. Then one day you see 2 positions coming and it's like, oh, is it good or bad? So Google might be testing that. So there's a number of tests happens, there's a number of algorithm changes happen throughout the day and it takes time. So SEO is not like a quick thing, it's not just putting in another tag. It used to be okay. And I've gone through, I've seen all the phases of SEOs where you just put the title tags in and you're sweet, you're done. I think SEO has changed a lot since then. So you have to do a lot of it's like a nurturing the plant, right? You have a new plant and you keep watering in fertilizers and you have to look after so that it can give you food in the future. It's same like that, you have to invest into SEO for future and it has to be the right way, otherwise the plant will die.
What sort of resources do you think is reasonable time to spend for a small to medium-sized business on SEO? Like, is it a couple of hours a week, or is it like...
To me, it's a full-time job.
Yeah.
Definitely one dedicated person's working on SEO.
Yeah.
And when I say SEO, the right SEO.
Yeah.
You can't have like a person sitting on one side painting walls or something or stones, but has to be the nudge in the right direction too.
Yeah.
So it could be the you might work with agencies or in-house, but you need to know what kind of activities you're doing. So it's very hard to say without actually going into what industry it is, what the search volumes, how big the competition is.
Yeah.
But generally, it's a full-time job. It's not like a couple of hours in a week and you're done.
Yeah.
It has to be thought through. It might be a matter of putting a lot of time and energy beforehand. Once you have strategy in place, once you know this is what I'm going to do the next 3 months, 6 months, it might be the case of, okay, this is the time I'm allocating to have somebody writing content, making sure it's SEO ready, publishing it.
Yeah.
And obviously strategy takes time, implementation might take a couple of hours depending on the size of a website. But yes, working, I can tell you this, it's one of those things people don't invest much, but the return is much higher. The ROI is pretty big. So yeah, so it takes time, it's not like a quick thing to do. But we have a solution here. Only if we can understand how search engines work, how they crawl index content, if we understand the process of information retrieval, if we understand how algorithms understand content, it will be much easier for us to do something. Obviously, there's two things to keep in mind. We produce content for users, but it has to be assessed by algorithms, right? So there's two different things, but same thing, right? You put your SEO hat on, you do optimization, and then definitely user hat has to be worn. Otherwise, it'd be like a keyword stuffing it that it will not sound how it should be. It's more like for algorithms, for machines rather than for humans. So obviously keeping human always in front of your mind. This is my target market. Now I have to put SEO there in what I can. If we understand how search engines identify importance and frequency of a topic, like how it's been used and how they assess a particular topic, the rest of the internet, it's much easier to understand that way. Otherwise, it's very complicated. If I say you're working on a plan and the goalpost going to change, now you can change the strategy. Like it becomes pretty messy, especially with big companies. When you have like a big team. Like I used to manage, I had my own copywriter, designer, developer, there's a digital PR person, like a full-fledged working. And then just imagine that many people working full-time, working on a strategy, and something changes from Google, how you will react to that. You have your sprint plannings done, you know what you're going to do for next 2 weeks, next 4 weeks, and then all of a sudden, no, change this, no, change this. So it doesn't have to be that way, right? You have to have a plan in place, and if you do everything which is right, you don't have to change, because SEO is not that way. You have to do the basics right, and then the rest of the things are just the layers on the top. It's just like a makeup thing. It's not the bread and butter bones. So today, in today's session, I'll probably cover a few of those things and probably cover a few more. So what I've done just now because it's a small kind of audience, I've asked them how big their sites are and what they want to take out from the session. It's the same.